I like the early morning visit to the park. I get the opportunity to sit in a quiet spot and to observe nature. I get the opportunity to look at the ducks on the lake, to view them, and just to be captivated by nature's offerings that so many of us seems to neglect these days. And I get the opportunity to relax, to walk and to exercise those aging legs. And I also get the opportunity to reflect on life, to think, to meditate, to concentrate, and to say a word of prayer, not only for myself, but for my family, my friends, and for those I have never met, even the Facebook friends I have in so many different places. But most of all, I get the opportunity to talk about life. And the talk about life varies. It could be light moments during the course of my span on earth. It could be serious and inspirational thoughts. Yes, it varies. But this morning, I want to reflect for a short time on events, but one in particular that was so popular in Brooklyn years ago. When I came to Brooklyn, man, every weekend there was a Grenadian party, and you didn't have to know the people who were hosting the party. You didn't have to know them. There's a plane in the sky up there. Yes, you didn't have to know them. You just go to the party and they were glad. The people were happy to see you. So what happened? What happened? You met people from Grenville. You met people from Sotez. You met people from the Point, Grand Mall. You met people from, well, St. George's, from Belmont. And they all enjoy themselves. Oh, when I reflect and I think of the times at my brother Charlie's parties, he used to have some real nice parties at his house. And all those guys from Belmont and the Coronage and places, the ladies, they came and enjoyed themselves. Yes, Spice people having great, great fun. I know I remember the time guy called Redman. That's what they call him because you know names, Grenadians, they like to give people nicknames. So Redman from up Willis Way, man, he stole the show, man. He danced, and he was matched by a Lacquette fella from River Road who also danced. And he danced so much, he almost knocked down Tina with waist. Oh, I remember that. He was competing to see who could touch the ground. And he and Tina, boy, they stole the show. And of course, Redman passed away, but he was the life of the party. He and the Lacquette guy. And of course, you had others who lined by the bottles, who sat there, sat by the Hennessy, and had a time just drinking and observing. Drinking and observing. But it was all a wonderful spirit. And as I sit here and I reflect and I think of, oh, Grenadians united. Yes, Grenadians united. Having great fun And Charlie had this big device. He construct. He made that. It's like a big drum, and he used to roast a big pig there, man. Big pig. And so while people were dancing in the inside part of the house, there were others outside who were just observing the pig roasting, yeah, on the drum, the fire. And sometimes it took a while. So 3, 4, 5 in the morning, you're still waiting on the meat. But people had patience. You know, one of the things about us Grenadians, when it comes to eating, if we have to wait on the food, we'll wait. And if it is drinks, they'll wait longer. So yes, it was all a wonderful affair. Wonderful time. And at Christmas time, it could be 5 degrees on the outside. But once there was a pot on the fire, we on the inside, waiting to devour whatever was in the pot. So yes, I sit here this morning and I don't know why I thought of that, but the whole idea is to stress Grenadian togetherness. And I say this from my heart, I say this from my heart. I want to see us as a people together, not pulling each other apart, but enjoying ourselves and enjoying each other's company, respecting and appreciating each other. It is so important. They say unity is strength. And yes, when spiders unite, they can tie up a lion, the old African saying. And I just want to mention one other thing before I sign off. I remember Uncle Gary, Eric Matthew Gary, Prime Minister of Grenada at one time. And Gary was a dancer, man. Yes, he loved to dance. And it was customary to find him at Evening Palace, where he would dance the night away. And there was an occasion, and this is, my friends, a true story. There was the time that Uncle Gary was dancing away, and there was a man there. There was a man there who was a noted critic of Uncle Gary. As the saying goes, he didn't like Uncle Head at all. But he was in a party. He found himself in the establishment where Gary was dancing. He found himself there, and he too was dancing. And it so happened that Uncle saw him, and Uncle looked. They were close to the bar. They were very close to the bar. And you know what Uncle did? There was no animosity. No animosity at all. Uncle Gary said, called out to the bartender, and he said, "Bartender, give Mr. Simon any drink that he desires." Yes, there, a man who was a critic of Uncle Gary, and Uncle Gary calling out to the bartender to give Mr. Simon any drink that he wants or wanted. And it reminds me so much about Christmas time back in the Spice Island, because back then when I was growing up, it was GNP and GULP. Them other P's didn't come yet. And back in those times, people curse each other, man, real curse. Bad words that they invented even would be used. And you know, policemen never like to hear bad words that the cuss buds invented. They arrest them for that too. So yes, they'll curse each other during the year. But I'll tell you what, when Christmas time roll around and they gather to drink the rum and the sorrel and the ginger beer and to eat the black cake, the animosity, the envy and the jealousy and the confusion and the bacchanal took a back seat, and they sat and they enjoy themselves in love and togetherness. That is the Grenada that we should yearn to see. People appreciating themselves, appreciating their fellow men and their fellow women. God bless. Anthony Wendell Derricks. And as I said before, it's not only about sitting down and meditating and praying and all that stuff, but it's also about taking a nice walk. Look at the Canadian geese. You know, these birds, they travel for a long distance. I'm always fascinated by the way they operate. Okay, they'll be all in a one spot, and suddenly they all will take off. And I always wonder, who gave the order? Who gave the order to move on? But it happens. There are things in nature that we may never understand. And as Johnny Nash said it, a song that we used to sing, a popular song back then, with the words, there are more questions than answers, and indeed, there are more questions than answers. But again, not forgetting the theme, togetherness. So important. God bless. And now, I'll continue on my morning walk. And the air is fresh. But not as fresh as the GRENADA's sea breeze, which I hope to breathe, to take it in, God willing. Again, blessings, blessings, and more blessings. I like this little spot. I like this little spot, and of course, the lake. Once again, blessings.